Hey guys, I'm back today doing my 80s keys, first appearances, first issues, basically just key books from the decade of the 80s. I did a 60s and 70s video a couple weeks ago, so if you like, make sure to check it out if you like looking at old books. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show what I would consider my keys, first appearances, and some first issues from the 1980s. And we're going to start with DC first. The first one I got here is the Man of Steel #1. This was part of the 6-part miniseries by John Byrne. This was a book I actually had as a child. Not this particular book, but I had this one, with this cover, and I remember looking it over just continuously, just reading it and looking over it. I do not know what happened to it, but I ended up getting it, getting another copy of it. And I also got the variant, I guess you might want to call it, the special collector's edition. So I got both of those. Next is The Adventures of Superman 424. Premier issue. So this was basically when Superman, the Volume 1 Superman, became Adventures of Superman. And this was the first time it was titled that. And then he got his another Superman series right here with this is the Volume 2 Superman run. John Byrne on this one as well. Showed this in my haul the other day, the Action Comics 595, first appearance of the Silver Banshee. DC Comics presents number 52. This is the first appearance of Ambush Bug. And I don't really know a lot about him. He's apparently a reporter. They used him a lot in the New 52 at the end of some of the issues, reporting on the goings on in the DC universe. Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, the death of Supergirl. I showed this one just the other day. Batman 386, the first appearance of Black Mask. Batman 408. This is a retelling or reimagining of the new origin of Jason Todd. This was after Crisis, and they kind of did like a soft reboot, sort of, that whole Crisis on Infinite Earths deal. Anyways, this was the first time Jason Todd was in the Batman book after that, as part of, like a new origin. Batman 417, first appearance of the KG Beast. Batman 436, first appearance of Tim Drake. Batman 442, this is the first time Tim puts on the Robin costume. He hasn't became Robin in this one. He didn't become Robin, but he did wear this particular costume in it. Detective Comics 523. Cool cover here. Batman fighting Solomon Grundy in the flames. This is I believe the first cameo appearance of Killer Croc. So it's like right before he made his first appearance. The trench coat and the hat, it's what kind of hid behind that. Detective Comics 554. This is the first modern appearance of Black Canary. Detective Comics 608. The first appearance of Anarchy. Brave and the Bold number 200. This is the first appearance of Katana. I think this is the last issue of Brave and the Bold. I may be wrong, but I think it is. Batman the Cult number 1. This is the first appearance of Deacon Blackfire. I recently read this series. It is really great. dark. I mean, just super dark. And if you're into, just dark, grim Batman stories and you've never read The Cult, check it out. Alright, get another stack here. This is Wonder Woman number 1 from her Volume 2 series. Wonder Woman number 8 and number 9. This would be the first appearance of the modern Cheetah, Barbara Minerva. She shows up in this issue. First time she's on the cover there. The Flash number 1. This was the Wally West debut in a new Flash book, as his own book. So this was, of course, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, after Barry was killed. Green Lantern Corps 201 premiere issue. This was when Green Lantern became Green Lantern Corps. This is the first appearance of the Green Lantern Corps and several other characters. Definitely, I know Kilowog's first appearance is in this book. Green Lantern Emerald Dawn number 1. Justice League of America Annual number 2. The first appearance of Vibe. Justice League number 1. After Justice League of America finished, then they started Justice League number 1 up. This was considered Justice League International. Then it became Justice League America, or vice versa, something like that. It's kind of confusing, but iconic cover here. It's been redone several times by all sorts of different books, and even, a couple years later with Justice League Europe number 1. It's wow, deja vu. Got Green Arrow number 1 from his first ongoing series, signed by Mike Grell, right here. Fury of Firestorm, the Nuclear Man. This is number 1 from his second volume. Number 7, the first appearance of Plastique. Number 23, the first appearance of Felicity Smoke. 24, the first appearance of Blue Devil. Right there. 28, the first appearance of Slipknot. Alright, got Legends number 1. This is the first appearance of Amanda Waller. Legends number 3, the first modern appearance of the Suicide Squad in basically the incarnation that we all know today. I mean, different characters, but same logic, same aspect. Suicide Squad number 1. Suicide Squad 23, first appearance of Oracle. I looked through this pretty good. I didn't really see her in here. I think maybe is it the first appearance of her being called Oracle, like over something like that. It's I don't think you actually see Barbara Gordon in the book, but I may be mistaken. Swamp Thing 49. This is the first appearance of Justice League Dark, or a cameo of them. Just a number 1 from Blue Beetle. This was my favorite Blue Beetle. I'm not a big fan of the one that they use now. Reyes, I think is his name. I always just like the look of this costume a whole lot better. We got Animal Man number 1. Booster Gold number 1. Just showed this off the other day. Omega Man number 3. First appearance of Lobo. This was one of the first books I grabbed up whenever I got back into comics. Wild Dog number 1. First appearance of Wild Dog. Vigilante number 1. And the New Teen Titans Annual number 2. The first appearance of Vigilante. And my last stack of DCs. Got New Teen Titans number 1. Don't have a number 2. That's definitely on my wish list. I have number 10 and 9 here, which is the second appearance of Deathstroke. He shows up at the end of this issue, I think on the last page, and then he's all in that one. So, plus I love that cover there. New Teen Titans 16, first appearance of Captain Carrot. This is when DC was doing a lot of those first appearances on the side there, where they'd have a free preview comic. So technically, it was their first appearance because it was the first time. You know, it's not like a preview or ad. It was an actual comic. Another one like that, New Teen Titans 21, Night Force, and this is the first appearance of Brother Blood, who was one of the main villains in the second season of Arrow. New Teen Titans 26, the first appearance of Terra. Tales of the Teen Titans, number 44, the first appearance of Nightwing, Jericho, Origin of Deathstroke. Definitely one of my favorite books that I've gotten so far this year. Frank Miller's Ronin, book 1. I've heard good things about this. I'm missing, I think, one issue out of the run. I haven't read it, but it's one I probably need to check out. And Watchmen number 1. I don't know if you guys ever go on shopgoodwill.com, but they do comic book auctions on there. And I got a lot of, that's where I've got some of these books. That's where I got this Watchmen book. I won an auction and it was very cheap. Like, it had hardly any bids. But the only thing is, you don't really know the conditions of the books. You can look at the pictures, but I got like a ton of books. It was like a huge lot. It had the Flash Volume 2, 1 through number 25. No breaks in it. All of the books were in good shape. And this Watchmen number 1 was in it. And it was, I didn't pay a lot. The only thing about those auctions is the shipping is outrageous. So if you're, basically, if you can get it really, for a few dollars, the auction for less than 10, and it's some, decent stuff in it you want, then it's really not that bad of a deal. But if you're paying, you're bidding a ton of money on it, the shipping is going to be outrageous. So I just didn't know if anyone had ever done that. Check those out. I hadn't done it in a while because it's really not the best way to get them, but I did get this one in it, and it is in really, I'd say, VF Plus condition, if not near mint. Alright, let's move on to my one independent book that I have from the 80s, and then we'll go to Marvel. This first one here is Megaton number 3, the first appearance of the Savage Dragon. Got this out of a box. I don't know if you guys have watched my St. Patrick's Day video, but I explained what happened in case you haven't. The place I worked at, someone in the parking lot left a long box of comics. And I don't work at a comic book shop, so it was kind of odd. They brought it in, put it in the lost and found, waited about a month. No one ever showed back up. So they put these in the break room lounge area, the long box, and was selling them for 50 cents each, going to a children's charity. And I wasn't buying comics then. That wasn't when I was not buying comics. But I started flipping through the books, and it was a lot of Power Pack. I think some Avengers, different things like that, Fantastic Four. And I saw this in there, and I was like, oh, this is the first appearance of Savage Dragon. So you bet I got it for 50 cents. And just, it's just weird sometimes the way that you come across books, If we always have that dream of running across an Action Comics number 1 or Amazing Fantasy 15 like that. But, I'll take a Savage Dragon's first appearance for 50 cents. From Epic Comics, from the Marvel imprint, Epic Comics, Gru #1. Just a comedic character. I remember having one of these books as a kid, and I read it cover to cover, just constant, It's one of those I never have, and I don't know what issue it was, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. G.I. Joe #1. First appearance of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe 21. The all-silent issue with Snake Eyes on the cover. Also the first appearance of Storm Shadow. Rough. Tons of spine ticks on it. I got it for $6. So, and it's a newsstand too. On to some Spider-Man books. Web of Spider-Man #1. Number 18. This is the issue where Peter is pushed out onto the subway tracks, the train tracks, by supposedly Eddie Brock. Venom. Spectacular Spider-Man 158. This is the issue where Spider-Man gets his cosmic powers. I really enjoyed the Cosmic Power Spider-Man run. It was fun to read. Marvel Team Up #95. This is the first appearance of Mockingbird. Amazing Spider-Man 212. First appearance of Hydro Man. The book I showed off in my two or three hauls ago. Amazing Spider-Man 252. First appearance of the black costume. Rough copy of 256. First appearance of Puma. 265. Really nice copy here. First appearance of Silver Sable. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21. Both wedding covers of Peter and Mary Jane. So you've got Peter and Mary Jane and the friends and family, and then you've got Spider-Man, Mary Jane, villains and heroes. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 22, first appearance of Speedball. Alright. Onward we go. Moon Knight #1. Daredevil 168, first appearance of Elektra. Snagged this baby up for $15 at the beginning of this year. And, the guy, they had it graded as like a 3. It's pretty rough, but, when you got a first appearance of Elektra I don't have to have the most perfect copy. And it presents well. You can't really even tell it's that bad, so. Daredevil 176, the first appearance of Stick. 181, the death of Elektra. Daredevil 183, this is the first meeting of, I believe this is the first meeting of the Punisher and Daredevil. Also iconic cover. 232, first appearance of Nuke, also part of the Daredevil Born Again storyline. My favorite Daredevil story ever, and one of my top 10 of favorite comic book stories ever. Punisher #1 from his first miniseries. Punisher #1 from his first ongoing series. Punisher #4, first appearance of Microchip. Punisher War Journal #6 and #7, first time Wolverine and Punisher met. Awesome Jim Lee covers too. Power Pack #1, first appearance of Power Pack. Marvel Comics Presents #1, with Wolverine there and Silver Surfer in the box. Marvel Comics Presents 19. This is the first appearance of Damage Control. We got Quasar #1. Not really a major key issue, but it is a #1. And I snagged this up for like $1. Savage She-Hulk number 1. First appearance of She-Hulk. Got this baby for $2. Found it in a box at an antique store. It was marked $2, and it does have some water damage. But I will buy a She-Hulk number 1 for $2. Pretty much, as long as there's a cover on it, I'd buy it all the time for $2. Sensational She-Hulk number 1. Captain America 275. First appearance of the second Baron Zemo. Captain America 282. The first appearance of Jack Monroe as the Nomad. Captain America 307. First appearance of Madcap, who's really gone on to be an arch nemesis of Deadpool. Captain America 310, first appearance of Diamondback and the Serpent Society. 354, first appearance of U.S. Agent. Iron Man 225. This is the start of the Armor Wars. Thor 344, first appearance of Malekith. 411 and 412. This is the first appearance of the New Warriors. Incredible Hulk 324, when Bruce Banner goes back to being the Grey Hulk. 340, the famous Tom McFarlane Wolverine cover there. West Coast Avengers number 1. West Coast Avengers 46, first appearance of the Great Lakes Avengers. Avengers 196, really rough copy here. First appearance of the Taskmaster, really awesome villain. Avengers 257, first appearance of Nebula. And Avengers Annual number 10. This is the first appearance of Rogue, and she started out as a bad guy. Oops. Alright. Excalibur, sword is drawn. This is a one shot by Chris Claremont, Alan Davis. First appearance of Excalibur. And then Excalibur number 1. Alpha Flight number 1. First appearance of Puck. This guy here. Alpha Flight 33. The first appearance of Lady Deathstrike. The Avengers 263 and Fantastic Four 268. This is when they find Jean Grey in the cocoon. She was never actually the Phoenix. The Phoenix was made like a special host body of Jean Grey and put the original Jean Grey in a cocoon at the bottom of the sea. And they unearth her, and she's back. And this was what started up X Factor. We got X Factor number 1. This is also where Scott Summers Scott Summers really doesn't help himself out a lot. He's got a reputation for being pretty much an asshole. And he didn't help his case in this issue. He's got Jean Grey back, the former love of his life, but he's married to Madeline Pryor. They just had baby Cable, and he basically deserts them to join X Factor, and, he's still in love with Jean, so what a jerk. X Factor number 5, first cameo of Apocalypse, and X Factor number 6. First appearance of Apocalypse. Number 15 of X Factor. This is where Angel's killed. And first appearance of the Horseman. Number 24. First appearance of Archangel. Long Shot number 1. This is his first appearance. Dazzler number 1. Just a really cool early 80s cover here. Really dig this. Like some old Dazzler. Wolverine number 1, signed by Chris Claremont from his first miniseries. Wolverine number 1 from his first ongoing series. Also the first appearance of Patch. Wolverine number 8, the awesome Wolverine Hulk cover here. Number 10. This is the first time that Wolverine and Sabretooth did battle in continuity. This shows the first time they ever fought. And this is also the first appearance of Silver Fox. I'm going to put this up here. New Mutants, the graphic novel, Marvel graphic novel number 4. First appearance of the New Mutants. Followed up with New Mutants number 1. New Mutants 14, first appearance of Magic. Number 16, first appearance of Warpath. Number 18, first appearance of Warlock. Number 26, first appearance of Legion. And annual number 2, first appearance of Psylocke. Alright, now we're in the home stretch. Most of you know I'm a big X-Men fan, so that's what we're going to finish it off with. Oh. Uncanny X-Men 129. This is the first appearance of Kitty Pryde, first appearance of Emma Frost, Sebastian Shaw, Hellfire Club, the first part of the Dark Phoenix saga. Second part of the Dark Phoenix saga, number 130, also the first appearance of Dazzler. 134, this is where Jean becomes the Dark Phoenix. 137, Death of the Phoenix. 139, Kitty Pryde joins the X-Men. 141, 142, Days of Future Past. Also the first appearance of Rachel Gray, Pyro, Avalanche, Destiny, just a whole slew of characters. Uncanny X-Men 148, the first appearance of Caliban. He was the guy helping Logan and Charles in the Logan movie. Uncanny X-Men 155, first appearance of the Brood. 166, there's a cover of them fighting the Brood. This is also the first appearance of Lockheed the Dragon. 168, the first appearance of Madeline Pryor. 169, this is the first appearance of the Morlocks. 171, the joining of Rogue to the X-Men. 184, first appearance of Forge. 191, this is the first appearance of Nimrod. It's like that, the Sentinel from the future. Also got a cool Colossus Vision cover there by, I'm not sure who did that. Looks like John Romita Jr., but I'm not sure. X-Men 193, this is the first appearance of Firestar in regular Marvel continuity. There she is there. It's also the first Warpath costume in his, his typical costume that he's usually in, the Thunderbird version. Uncanny X-Men 201, this is first appearance of Nathan Summers, Baby Cable. And I believe this is when Storm takes over as the true leader of the X-Men. 221, first appearance of Mr. Sinister. 229, first appearance of the Reavers, the villains in the Logan movie. 244, the first appearance of Jubilee. 248. This is the first time Jim Lee did X-Men, the X-Men comic. And the last one on here that I've got is Uncanny X-Men 256. This is the first appearance of the ninja assassin Psylocke during the Acts of Vengeance storyline. So that will wrap up what I pulled for the 80s. I know it's a good bit of stuff here. In a few weeks, I will probably do a 90s one and so on through the decades. Thanks for watching, guys.